Hello YouTube, and welcome to the March edition of the 50 Books Challenge! So this month I read 6 books, and that was pretty awesome because I covered my 4 books that I need to read. And I also read my 2 extra, so for the rest of the year I only have to read 4 books a month to reach my goal, so that's pretty freaking awesome. The first book I read was Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Kahn and David Levithan, and I hadn't seen the movie yet, so I had no bias on that. I still haven't seen the movie, actually. And it was okay. It was kind of... It's not really the kind of books that I'm usually into. I thought the language was really good, the manipulating of the words and whatnot, but the story was kind of not that great. But I did enjoy it. It was an entertaining read nonetheless, and I'm definitely going to try to read Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List, which is also by Rachel Kahn and David Levithan, because I'm interested to see what steps they took after they wrote Nick and Norah's Infinite Playlist, so that's definitely on my books to read list. If you would like to read said book, you probably don't need a picture of the cover, but here it is anyway, just in case. The second book I read was Girl at Sea by Maureen Johnson, and it was amazing. Maureen Johnson is such a fantastic writer. If you haven't read any of her books, A, you're probably not a girl, and B, well, boys can enjoy Maureen Johnson's books too, I would argue, and B, you're lame. So, yes, one of my favorite Maureen Johnson book by far is 13 Little Blue Envelopes, closely followed by, what's it called, The Key to the Golden Firebird, and then I would say Girl at Sea. Girl at Sea and Key to the Golden Firebird might be interchangeable, and then Devilish, and I haven't read the Bermuda's Triangle. But Girl at Sea was fantastic. It's been so long since I read it. That was really close to the beginning of the month, but it was really good. It was entertaining. It was about being at sea, which I have never been at sea before, so that was cool. But I highly, highly suggest that you read it, and if you want to, here's the cover. The next book I read was this book, Slaughterhouse 5 by Vonnegut. I read this for school, technically, but it was like we had a free choice. She gave us some authors, and we got to pick which book we wanted to read, and I read this because it was on the Nerdfighter Blurbing Book Club list, and unfortunately I don't have a blurb for it because I'm lame. But I did think that it was a really weird book, a really good book. I would suggest it to anyone who is interested in, it's all about free will, and it's just an interesting read. It's hard to explain without you guys having read it. I know some of you probably have, but I can't really talk to you right now. You know what I mean? Kind of, maybe. But it is an interesting read, and I suggest that you read it if for the themes, if not for the themes and the literature. The writing is so wonderful. There's so many parts in here. Let me read you one. It says, he's talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, in the context of the writing. You'd have to be there to get it, but this part, I highlighted it because it was so amazing. It says, and Lot's wife, of course, was told not to look back, where all those people and their homes had been. But she did look back, and I love her for that, because it was so human. Ugh, it's just amazing writing, and I suggest that you read it. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that you should read this book. It's really, really great. The next book I read was Gossamer by Lois Lowry, and I was actually talking to Kayla, hi Kayla, about Lois Lowry in the comments of one of my past videos. And this is a book that I was talking to you about that's new, that I haven't read yet. And I thought it was really good. Like, it wasn't it wasn't on the same level as The Giver or Gathering Blue or anything. And it was kind of simplified. Like, I think she could have taken it much farther. Like, where it ended was, sorry, tweet, was not really, it could have been taken farther. Some of the story could have been developed, I think. But it was just a really cute story, and really, it was just pleasant to read, I'll put it that way. And I wrote something down as a library book that I want to read to you guys, because I just thought the words were so cute. And it says, "Oh, how sweet. I do love cobwebs. There was one in a corner of the woman's parlor once, behind the piano, and I danced in it. There was a moon that night, and it just seemed like the thing to do, dancing in a moonbeam and a cobweb." Isn't that adorable? I want to dance in a moonbeam and a cobweb. I can't say moonbeam without sounding like a moron. Anyway, if you want to read Gossamer, here it is. Next book I read was Othello by William Shakespeare, the bard, Billy Shakespeare of awesomeness. This was also for school, but since it is on its own in a separate book, I counted it because I make the rules for my own challenge, like I told you guys before. And Othello was good. I like Iago because he's a conniving villain and he is a jerk, and that's what makes stories interesting. It's like how you like Lord Voldemort because he's the villain, and he's clever and he's maniacal, and you just want to hurt him. And yeah, that's the way I feel about Iago, because the play isn't even really about Othello. Like, we all know Othello, he's a jealous putz, but it's really about Iago. Everyone knows that, right? Right? Yeah. And I also thought Amelia was total ponage. She's like, "You're all idiots," which was awesome, but she dies too. Everyone dies, that's the bad part, but it's a tragedy, what do you expect? So yeah, Othello, read it, because it's literature, it's classic, and how can you not? Unless you're Cameron and you don't like Shakespeare for some reason. I don't even know. Don't talk to me. The last book I read in March was called The Astonishing Life of Octavian Nothing by M.T. Anderson, and I didn't like it at all. Not once in this challenge so far have I said that I don't like a book at all, and I really didn't like it at all, because it was boring. Like, the whole, like, everything but the last 20 pages was just like, it was kind of disturbing, and it was rambling, and it would just go on and on and on, and it was strange. Like, I just couldn't get, I was like, I really had to push myself to finish it, because I really didn't want to, but I wanted to because I'd already spent so much time reading it, and to not finish it would be a waste in the context of this challenge. The last 20 pages, the last part of the book, it's broken into like 4 parts. That last 4th part, best part of the whole book, gets to the point, get the whole theme, it's all there, but like the rest of it, it was just not my cup of tea. In saying that, if you want to read it, here's the cover. Some of you might be into it. I don't know. Go ahead and check it out. So those are the 6 books that I read this month. That sounds weird, 6 books. Anyway, those are the 6 books that I read this month. And once again, if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. I know I haven't actually read any of your suggestions yet, but I definitely will keep them in mind. And even if you don't have a suggestion, comment anyway, because I love getting comments, and that's like my favorite thing in the whole world. And also, if you're doing the 50 books challenge, I know Cameron Kabuki said he was doing it, but if you're doing it and you want to share how it's going with me, that's awesome. I would love that. Leave it in the comments or make a video response. That would be epic. I've never gotten a video response before. So it was fantabulous talking to you guys about books today, and I will see you next month to talk about April's books.